Breaking news, Al Franken, senator from Minnesota, is out. Yes, out. He just resigned on the floor of the Senate. We'll talk all about it. Plus, the media do their best to ensure that a wave of terrorism hits Israel. And, of course, President Trump stands tall in the face of withering attack over his talk about Jerusalem. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is The Ben Shapiro Show. Alrighty, so a lot to get to today. Right now, in breaking news, Al Franken is stepping down from the Senate. And when I say now, I mean like as we are recording this. We're going to grab the audio as soon as possible of Al Franken, the senator from Minnesota, stepping down. He did what I think everyone sort of expected him to do. He came out and he said that he was totally innocent, but he's stepping down anyway, which is not true. He's not totally innocent. And also, he then said, and what about Trump? And what about Roy Moore? This is the Democrats' play. We'll talk all about that. Plus, I want to give you the latest from the state of Israel, as well as a couple of stories that are just insane that you haven't heard yet today. Al Franken is gone, and he just came out and said, as I said, that he is innocent, that he didn't do any of these things, that all of these women are either liars or misconstruing his actions. It seems to me it's hard to misconstrue somebody grabbing your in the middle of a photo line. But, you know, to each his own. So Franken stepped down after the Democrats turned on him. They turned on him in the last 48 hours, really not because of the new reports about Franken, but because they wished to throw Republicans under the moral bus. That was the goal here. The pretext they used for throwing Franken out was this report from The Atlantic that Franken had sexually harassed a woman at a Media Matters party. There's a woman named Tina DuPois who wrote for The Atlantic. She says, it happened at a Media Matters party during the first Obama inauguration. It was a great time to be a Democrat. Not only had we just elected the first African-American president of the United States, but Franken's race had triggered a recount, leaving leftists giddy we would soon have a supermajority in the Senate. As you recall, Al Franken stole that Senate seat from Norm Coleman. They just kept recounting the votes until enough felons were counted that Al Franken was the senator from Minnesota. This woman writes, this is my first inauguration. I'd never been in the proverbial room where it happens. My experience with government at that point was being a ward of the court in foster care. Noting that I had an interest in politics and in grandstanding, my foster dad set up an internship for me at the district office of Representative George Miller. The summer before my senior year of high school as an intern, I answered calls, thumbed through the congressional record, etc. She says, I've been married for 2 years at the time. I don't let my husband touch me like Al Franken did in public. Right, here's what she says. I saw Al Franken. I only bug celebrities for pictures when it'll make my foster mom happy. She loves Franken, so I asked to get a picture with him. We posed for the shot. He immediately put his hand on my waist, grabbing a handful of flesh. I froze. Then he squeezed, at least twice. What a class act, that Al Franken. So Franken gave a statement in which he said, all of this has been misconstrued. He's totally innocent, but he's leaving anyway. And then he blabbered on for a while about activism and the wonders of activism. And again, he just kept calling them liars over and over and over, hoping that he would have another shot at this. That's what Al Franken is hoping. Al Franken is hoping that he leaves in quote-unquote disgrace, that he does his penance, and then he comes back in a couple of years, having cleansed himself of the stigma of this. And in order to ensure that, he immediately wheeled and hit Trump and Roy Moore. Roy Moore, of course, the Senate Alabama Republican candidate who's been credibly accused of child molestation. Now, what's hilarious about all of this is watching the Democrats swing to push Franken out. So just a couple of days ago, we played the audio yesterday of Kirsten Gillibrand saying that she didn't know whether Franken should step down. He should really make his own decision. And then yesterday, she actually said Franken should step down. So she changed her opinion. Kirsten Gillibrand, who's been treated as a possible 2020 candidate, there is no better weather vane than Kirsten Gillibrand. I mean, there are no better weather vanes on planet Earth than Kirsten